Hello everyone, this is Shani Noctels, and this late night, I would like to stream an ancestry video. Um, I recently waited a little while to get a nice discount for the latest add-on for Quantum Deep Dive. Last time I waited for a while too, and I got a really good deal. This time I got a really good deal as well. Um, And yeah, I feel like now, I feel like before I was paying a little, just a wee bit too much on, or a wee bit much for the, yeah, just for the, I don't know, for Quantum Deep Dive, but like now I finally got some good deals, and so I'm happy with it. Yeah, like I feel like it's now pretty even. So yeah, yeah, I feel like all the money I've spent on this website in the last couple of years, like MyTrueAncestry, like it's been around $2,000, a little bit over. Definitely been worth it though, because I kind of think about it in the grand scheme of things, is that I could have gone to I could have gone traveling to another country, 2 years ago, whether to Ireland or to Japan. I still want to go to Japan, but maybe I would have gone even before. But I think doing this research now, or ha having spent 2 years on doing this research, rather than going on a trip, has been worth it because it really has. I mean, I do want to go on a trip eventually in time, when it makes sense. But for now, um, really, just even taking a trip in my ancestry really has helped out a lot. And yeah, I want to show you guys some of the new stuff I got. I got a lot of Celtic ancestry from the Isles this time. Well, Belbaker and Celtic, because as I told you guys before in previous streams, a lot of the ethnic Celts really started off in Gaul or Gallia. So that would be like in France, and it would include Spain, Portugal. I prefer to say Spain, Portugal over Iberia because when people say Iberia makes me think of like the Iberians are genetically closely related to the Basque people because the Iberians and Basque, are kind of like some of the original people there. But aside from them, you also have the Celts as well, who also came. Uh, and then so that's why I like to say also Spain, Portugal rather than just Iberian, because people don't real some people a lot of people don't know there's Celtic ancestry there too. But yeah, this Quantum Deep Dive, I got a lot of Celtic ancestry from the Isles, or well, Celtic and Belgique. I also got more Scandinavian as well. It's amazing how much Scandinavian I got. Um, and I guess it kind of makes sense because a lot of it probably came from my great grandfather Cleves on my dad's maternal side and paternal side, and maybe even from my mom's side, or maybe somewhere down the line. But yeah, so this one's Donny tribe Denmark. This was quite a big match. I've met some good friends from Scandinavia. I have a Norwegian friend named Bjorn that I get along with really well. So yeah, here you can just see. This sample was pretty similar to this sample. I think sometimes this will also say like Denmark as well, or like even though this says Austria here, Bronze Age, like sometimes it'll say like Denmark Isles or something like that. And see, it's very genetically close related to like Donny tribe, Denmark, also Bronze Age, Scotland, um, yeah, stuff like that. And this one is pretty similar, like in terms of the ancient people. I think the only difference with this one, this reminds me a lot of my grandmother, Pama, on my dad's maternal side. Probably part of the ancestry probably came from her dad, from my great grandfather Cleves. But yeah, so here you have Saxon, Frisian, Thuringian, Jute, and Goth. I think the only difference here is Dani and I think the Goots were like also like a tribe from Scandinavia, um, then Dani as well. Yeah, a lot of Scandinavian, North Germanic, but yeah. Yeah, so this was what I was talking about, the Celtic ancestry I have too, that kind of really links the Iron Age Celts or the Latin culture. So to connect the Celts who lived in France, who lived in Spain, Portugal, parts of Belgium, Netherlands, I guess southern Germany, northern Italy, like a lot of really neat stuff. So yeah, but I want to show you guys some of the new stuff I got too. This still reminds me so much of my friend Ben. This was a big match I got from Celtic Britain, plus Gloucestershire. Hopefully, no, I kind of laugh because I think about my friend Yuji, and even though I only talked to him for a wee bit, sometimes we joke about pronunciations. Also, my friend Mafi, she's from Wales as well. But yeah, so you can see like the thing is not all the Celts are genetically the same because a lot of the Celts, especially in Britain and Ireland, really when the Celts arrived there were people already there, which makes sense because the Celts came to Europe in the Iron Age, but there were people in Britain and Ireland and also other parts of Europe already there, well before or well several, they were just already there. And so, like even for this match here, Celtic Britain, you'll see it's you'll see Celtic there, but you'll also and it's part of it's Bellbeaker as well, which kind of links more to like Swedish, Norwegian, North Dutch, North German, Danish ancestry. And you'll see Vandals here too. So this is why you'll see a lot of North Dutch, North German, sometimes South Dutch too, but yeah. Um, and the Celts who came to, Gaul as well, or Gallia, also mixed with people there as well. Uh, like the Thuringians, Batavi. So here you'll get a little bit of a different kind of mix, so like French, Flemish, West German, South Dutch, East German, Galicia, and Spain, Hungarian, Serbian. Um, then, yeah, it's interesting. Like depending on where the Celts were, they mixed with the people that were there. You see, and Sequani and Dewey are some of the prime Iron Age Celts, Batavi, Germanic, but also found Netherlands, so Celtic Germanic mix, yeah. North Italians, Galicia, Portugal, French. Yeah, so let me, yeah, and then here's Denmark here, corded ware. Yeah, they went really far back, and you'll see here, this is what I'm talking about, like the corded ware Bellbeaker. So this was like before the Celts arrived to Europe. You'll see that they were genetically related to like Welsh, West Norwegian, Swedish, North Dutch, Orkney, Danish, Southwest English, so a lot of Scandinavian, North Germanic ancestry that was there before. Ungar, Saxon, you can see these are all kind of North Germanic, Scandinavian. Um, Same thing here. This one was pretty cool. Yeah, West Norwegian, Swedish, North Dutch, Danish, North Swedish, all that. Same thing with North Germanic, Norse, Scandinavian tribes. Um, okay, let me see if I can get it here. Yeah, so there's a lot of samples. Oh yeah, and this one was pretty cool too because I learned about the Scythians. Maybe that's one reason why my mom is into Poland, not just for the Scalaveni or the Slavs or whatever, but also the Scythians. Also makes me think a bit of lightning from. Uh, I mean I know lightning more so based off of France, but I I think some of the Scythians also came to France as well, so I don't know if that's like part of it. And then some of the Scythians, I think, mixed with the Visigoths and Ostrogoths too, Franks. So uh, Burgundians could be part of it too. Probably there's probably more to the story, but yeah, this reminds me a lot of my Joe's. I have a friend named Joe. He's part Apache, and his mom, she's probably like Apache, and she might have like some Germanic or maybe even some Celtic mix. But this reminds me a lot of her. Yeah, North German, West German. This reminds me of her a wee bit. So this was really cool too, like a match from like ancient Sweden, like almost 6,000 years ago. You can see some of the original people that were there. Yeah, this one was also cool. Finnish, Estonian. This might just be mainly West hunter-gatherers or some of the Neolithic farmers. Yeah, this was interesting too. Like, yeah, I guess Russia before it was called Russia, or well before it was called Russia. Yeah, stuff. Um, oh yeah, so here finally, okay. We got got a Celtic Britain match from Burcourt, Oxfordshire, South Dutch, North German, English, Irish, Flemish. See the different attribates are I think like a Belgic tribe, which is a Celtic and Germanic mix. Zikale there or Scythian. Um, Sweden. Yeah, this was like some really interesting stuff. I guess some, yeah, and then this is like things like Belbeaker ancestry. So not necessarily Celtic. Excuse me, Swedish, North Swedish. Yeah, you can see even Gaels there too, so you can see that the Gaels weren't entirely, I guess, originally Celtic. They had Belbeaker ancestry as well. Of course, Scythian, and yeah, I know some people may not want to. I think they understand it now, but yeah, the Oxfordshire, Yarnton, England, say Germanic, a bit of Celtic, Welsh, Orkney. This one. Yeah, so yeah, see Belgi, Belgai, yeah, Celtic Piracy, which is what I think France got its name. Um, this one, this one was really cool as well. Um, this was before the Romans and Anglo-Saxon, Vikings, and all the different groups of people came. To Celtic, Bates, Parsi, Paris, Breton. Well, closest was Irish, Scottish. You can see the Pixar, Brigantes. I think Brigantians are like northern, what is now like northern England, kind of bordering Scotland. Celtic, Protries. Not 100% sure. Oops, my bad. You guys can still hear. Yeah, the Celtic, uh, Tries settled in the area known as Dorset, southwest England, so close to Cornwall. Name translates to fort dwellers, of which they had many. They've had hill forts, including one on Han Hill and Maiden Castle. They issued their own coinage for the Roman conquest, which featured horses and patterns. So yeah, you can also learn about some of the Celtic people who were also in Britain and Ireland. Um, and that's the cool thing too about kind of showing all the different Celtic people, like the Celts who lived in the mainland of Europe, and then the Celts who lived in the Isles. And of course, there's some of that intersection as well, which I'll show you. Oh, this was also cool too. Visigoths, Ostrogoths. Yeah, Visigoths had a big impact in Spain. I think it's a bit of a different mix. I think Swabir. I think it's like Baltic. Because like in even Scandinavia, of course, there were the Norse, but they weren't just all entirely just Germanic, just you know, or even Belgic or all that. Like there was like a little bit of a Skelaveni, um, Skelaveni Baltic influence too. No, I think Swabir, no, North Germanic they were. Yeah, tribe who inhabited Swaveland, central Sweden. Yeah, I've been really enjoying the latest chapters of One Piece, by the way. It's taking place in Elbeth, which is like in Scandinavia. It's really a lot of fun. Central Sweden with a tribal center in Gamla Opan, one of the main groups of people in Sweden with a tribal center in Gamla Uppsala. I'm probably butchering this one. I'm gonna try my best. The Heim Skringla saga mentions that the Slavir were a powerful tribe whose kings descend from Freya. The south resided another large tribe, the Geats in Gotland. Slavir, Geats, and Goots were eventually united into one state over time. Oh, there it is. Okay, that's pretty interesting. During the Viking Age, the Slavir constituted at the basis of Varangian. Okay, it's subset Varangian Guard subset which traveled eastwards to the Rus and then Byzantine Empire. Yeah, the modern name of Sweden derives from the Slavir. Okay, that's pretty cool. To the modern people, Slavskar, Finnish and Estonian word for Sweden. Let's see, meanwhile derives from the name. Yeah, so that's just kind of a little bit of tidbit of information on that. Yeah, different groups here. Let's see, is this modern? Let's see, just get a bit of an idea. Got some more Celtic Breton. So maybe because I think the Bretons may have partly been a Belbeaker people, or at least had Belbeaker ancestry that was already there even before the Celts arrived. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That the Celtic ancestry eventually came to Britain and Ireland was kind of a mix of both Celtic and then Belbeaker. And then of course, yeah, Germanic and all. More Germanic. Yeah, this one was Carnage. Yeah, it's just kind of cool to finally get more of a bridge between the mainland Celtic tribes and the tribes in Britain and Ireland, as well as I've also been trying to learn more French as well recently, just to, for a wee bit actually, just to kind of bridge Spanish and English, and now I can kind of see it better. I learned too that in French, once you get to like the number 80, they have this thing called a Kachervin, or yeah, Kachervan. I think it's let me check this. Let's get it right. Yeah, Kachervan. It's gonna take a little bit to get it all right, of course, but yeah, Kachervan is like another way to say 80 English, or Spanish you could say cuatro veinte, but Kachervan is just a way of saying 80 or treinta. The different ways of saying 80 well, in French, because I learned it actually comes from the Celts, not just because I know a lot of people think that the Celtic influence in France, or used to be called Gallia or Gaul by the Romans, part of it, that there wasn't that there isn't really a lot of Celtic influence, but there is if you kind of look for it. And I learned the reason why they use the base 20 system instead of just base 10, because it's a way like to kind of count with your fingers and toes, if that makes any sense. Kind of see things full circle in a way. And so I thought that was like really awesome actually about that. But yeah. Yeah, so that's why I've been trying to like also learn a bit more French too, and also kind of find some positive French sources, because there are some sources of people trying to teach French culture who are French, or even who may not be. Might be better to steer clear of, at least for a wee bit. But sometimes I think they might just be overacting a wee bit, to be honest. There's this one guy that almost acts like an insufferable. I almost kind of want to call him German, because I've met some people that are German that are just as bad when it comes to complaining about certain things. But I'm not saying all Germans are like that. But yeah, I almost kind of wonder if it's just part of his, persona, like on YouTube, like he does that on purpose. So, well, it's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah. So this is like another match I had. Uh, uh, Celtic, Lunar Celtic, written for a pre-Roman. Kind of see that. Yeah, and the thing is too is that the Celts mixed with the Bell-Beaker in Britain and Ireland might have been a little bit harder to see that connection with Proto-Italic, because originally, before the Celts and or the Proto-Celts and Proto-Italics, before they split in the steppe, as they were arriving like close to Italy, they spoke a shared language, but over time, the Proto-Italics, went into Italy, and then the Celts, Proto-Celts, went into other parts of Europe like France, Spain, and eventually Britain and Ireland. And so I think over time they just kind of forgot, especially the further north you go, they just kind of forgot that connection with not only the not only the Proto Italics, but also the Greeks as well. Uh, but yeah, but again, that's why we remind people of the connection, of the and the Celts were, a group that really mixed of a whole bunch of different people. So that's the beauty of it, at least in some ways, depending on how you want to look at it. Um, so here we have Celtic as well, Celtic Bellbeaker. Let's see here. So once you start to see like Galicia Portuguese and a lot of Spanish, and also sometimes French as well, and start to kind of see that mix between the Celtic and the Bellbeaker. And I think that's what's some people like. Um, they might struggle to kind of see like that connection, but really, like the Celtic ancestry, that additional ancestry that came to Britain and Ireland is really that bridge between Spain and France, with well, Britain and Ireland, of course. At least Celtic wise, yeah. Maybe even a little bit Germanic in some instances, but Yeah, it's just it's kind of like that key. Then this is I think like a Bell Beaker match. Let's see here. Again, the Bell Beakers. This is what I'm talking about. That the Bell Beakers already, you know, were related to the Cantiasi, the Britons, the Gaels, Celtic Dabuni through the Bell Beaker ancestry because a lot of these tribes listed already had Bell Beaker in their ancestry. Like it says Celtic, but they weren't 100% Celtic. They were also part Bell Beaker. So I think that's what some people kind of forget. Is that before there were Celts that lived in Britain and Ireland, there were Bell Beaker and other groups too. So I think that's why, why sometimes there's that confusion. This was a pretty cool sample too. I think I showed it already, but I think I got this from my mom. This reminds me so much of, well, this reminds me of like a little bit of like Lightning Returns a little bit. Final Fantasy 13, but it reminds me a bit of 14 as well. Kind of like Hellenic Roman Greeks. A lot of people don't realize that some of the original fair-skinned people, or some people might want to say white people or whatever, um, they weren't all just from Northern Europe. A lot of the people originally, um, well, a lot of the kind of the Anatolian farmer ancestry that Europeans have today, came from really the Minoans and the Mycenaean Greeks, or some of the original people that that gave Europe its name. Go back to the story of Zeus and the Phoenician princess Europa. That's partly how Europe got its name, or from Europa to Ethiopia and Europe. And it really goes is connected to Anatolia, not so much Mesopotamia, because I know sometimes people think that Sumer is the cradle of civilization, but that's not really entirely the truth. Um, it's really more so like and that's what I love about Final Fantasy 14 is they really do try to touch a lot more on the Greeks and the Romans and kind of like their legacy and connection to us as the protagonists, whether we're like the warrior of light or darkness or the rainbow, and kind of showing that transition from Greece and Rome to really a new world, like to the Celts and different other groups as well, um, Japanese and Germanic and like all Scandinavian, like all these different groups. But yeah, really more so Anatolian, because I think the Sumerians, which are connected to like the Jews and the Muslims and Arabs and all that, they kind of have their own lineage. The reason why a lot of the modern day Jews, the reason why they have ancestry related to the Greeks and to the Romans is because I think, around like the Roman age and a little bit after, a lot of them married Greek and Roman women. And so kind of like that antithesis that, people can say, what they want, about being chosen or whatever, but there's a reason why the Greeks and Romans saw more than just themselves, saw more than just and it reminds me a lot of 14 where, yeah, at the beginning it's like the ancients want to bring their world back. Hades wants to bring those he loved, back as well as Elidibus and all the other different ancients. But the more they learn about us, the more they learn, we are really connected to them, even though we've come in addition to, and they've come to understand a different way of looking at things. So that's why I try to remind people of that Greek and Roman ancestry, to show them, there was a time where they thought, if you weren't Greek or Roman, you were a barbarian. But they changed over time. They were able to look at things differently over time. They were able to understand that there was going to be more than just Greeks and Romans. Or I guess 14, the ancients knew that there were going to be more than just themselves. There were going to be other groups of people. So yeah, and I'm saying this too because 14 is actually getting a new patch here in the next few days, which will be fun to stream. I've been trying to be wise with my finances lately, but I think I'll be able to manage spending an extra $13. I really wanted to do this deep dive for you guys because I have really been trying to learn a lot more about my ancestry and really trying to piece all the pieces of the puzzle together. And I think I've been getting there. Like I think I've really come to, yeah, you can see here Minoan, Copper Age, Anatolia. Um, yeah, but I've really been getting to understand it better. Um, yeah, you can see here Copper Age. And I guess maybe not all the bell beakers were genetically the same. Italian, Spanish, Thracian, Aurelian, Etruscan. Um, yeah, some pretty interesting stuff. Thracian period, or Northeast Asian. Yeah, pretty interesting too. It's bell beaker or cordware. I learn. Yeah, lots. Yeah, and then so this was another one too. Yeah, and most of this too, I think I got probably got from my mom because my dad didn't really get any Anatolian, Roman, or Imperial like this specific ancestry. This is pretty cool too because it was related to like Minoans and Mycenaean or ancient Greeks. Yeah, so what I learned is the difference between the ancient Greeks and the Mycenaeans is the ancient Greeks. I think they came after the Mycenaeans. It was kind of more so like the dark period, the dark ages of Greece because after the Trojan War, there was kind of that period where things were just kind of. It was kind of like the medieval ages in Europe, but it was kind of its own thing during that time. And I think the ancient Greeks were a little bit genetically different from the Mycenaeans or the Akkadian Greeks and Aurelians in the sense that I think they had more Mediterranean and maybe more Anatolian, maybe some other influences as well of ancestry. Maybe Hittite is one of them. Versus like kind of that original ancestry, which is like really related to more to like North Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, Tuscan on average. Um, and I think the Minoans too. Um, 'Cause I think they say like the Minoans and Mycenaean Greeks, they were really genetically close related to each other. I think the only difference with the Mycenaeans is that they had an additional like ancient North Eurasian ancestor, like Siberian, but it's really like ancient North Eurasian. Yep, that's right. Yeah, so see West Sicilian, South Italian, and then when you see Maltese, when you see all this Jewish ancestry, it just I think it's a lot of it's just from the women, the Greek and Italian women that married the men, the Jewish men. Yeah. That's what I try to remind. What I try to what I tried to remind Athena of. Athena was a person I met a while back. Um, and, Athena is also a Greek goddess as well. But to remind her that she still has that Greek ancestry in her. She still has that ancestry related to Europe and also it's kind of like the ancients. It's like you're still there. It's just you've gone in a different form, but you're still there. And to kind of remind her that just like how the ancients were able to see a different path, to help her see that different path as well. And I think she's getting there. Um, but yeah, so you'll see too here what I'm speaking about is that if you notice, okay, so you see here Thracian, Dacian, Akkadian, so this is Mycenaean Greeks, Corinthian Greeks, Macedonians, you can see like some of this original ancestry. I guess before it became more so Imperial Rome or Antonian, or maybe there's some other ancestry as well that came in, but yeah, you can see just like they're related to like Tuscan, West Sicilian, North Italian, Maltese, South Italian, Spanish. But yeah, this is this is pretty cool too. This reminds me a lot of like Hawk Manor in 14. Kind of like balancing that European and Asian ancestry, or balancing the Kyoto Huns with Ruron Abersempi Senpai. Yeah, but yeah. Oh, anyways, yeah. So here's Iron Age, Hampshire, England. Let's see. I got a lot of different ancestries in me, and it's kind of like interesting to like kind of learn about all of it. And so here's Celts, Athabascal. Yeah, it's really like a lot. Let's see here. Yeah, there's Anglo-Saxon, and West Norwegian Orkney, Angles, Viking, Swedish Viking, ancient Ukraine. It was almost 7,000 years ago. Estonian, Lithuanian, Latvian, Baltic, Skeloveni. Hopefully you guys can see all this pretty. Yeah, this is cool too. Yeah, I wonder if this is part of like where I get like the red hair, like the bright red hair in my beard. Sometimes I get like deep red hair, and maybe it comes from Celtic ancestry, also from the Isles as well. You can see here Gal, Vandal, Booney, Irish, English, Welsh, North Dutch, Scottish. Yeah, Sam, one match. Yeah. And the Aurelians also related closely to like the Mycenaean Greeks as well. They were like kind of like brothers and sisters. I'll see if I can find more matches of that. Also kind of connected to the Celts as well. But yeah, they had a different variety of different ways of looking. It's Celtic, Breton, English, Welsh. See a lot of Vandals there. Of Irish, Scottish. Celtic, Breton, Scottish, Irish. Different groups: Cows, Picts, Bologna, Kurultavi. Who's for late Roman? Spain, Southwest French, the Aurelian, Sonomani, species. This reminds me a lot of my mum's Scottish Australian friend Josephine. This might be part of Gothaner. Not necessarily a bad thing. Frank, Anglo-Saxon, both. Maybe this part of it. Uh, so Bronze Age, sure, England, Irish, Scottish, English, Orkney, Danish. You can even see Saxon here. So it all kind of comes back together, right? A lot. I think I showed you guys this one. I got like a lot of like I had like one huge Celtic sample from Britain, and then I had like a lot of different other samples too connected, like to Britain and Ireland and kind of like all, like at least like the ancestry of the different Celtic tribes. And I guess Beleaguer too lived there. Let's see, just who they were going through some tough times. Danish, North German, uh, Scottish. Oh yeah, so this is pretty interesting too because like my eBay store's name is Noctel Trading Card Emporium, and I think Emporium is like a Greek word for like a marketplace. Yeah, there were Greek colonies in Spain and of course in France as well, but you can see this was one of the inhabitants there, and he was part Basque, Spanish and French, Cantabrian, Southwest French, other parts of Spain. Here's related to the Vascones, Latins, Sordones, Sequini, which is a Celtic tribe. Yeah, so this is like another example of the Aurelians. They came in different ways of looking. He reminds me a lot of like more like yeah, the Akkadian Aurelian. Well, they were really brothers and sisters, you see. It's kind of like the Trojans and the Mycenaean Greeks. Yeah, so you can see here Minoan period, Mycenaean, Akkadian, Greece, Spain, really close. Yeah, North Italian, Spain, Portuguese. You can see the different groups, nomadic Asians from Asia who also came to Europe as well. Also connection to Northeast Asian and goes all the way back to also Japan. Intersection links the Yayoi and a bunch also the Jomon, all intersected. The North Dutch, Scottish, Danish, Irish. Yeah, I got a lot of interesting like ancestry, like both from the Isles and from the mainland and parts. I don't know why I think this reminds me of Yuji. I don't think I've seen a photo of Yuji in person, but I don't know why this reminds me of him. I don't know, maybe Yuji has some ancestry related to this man, Somerset. I guess I do as well. But yeah, for whatever reason, it just reminds me of Yuji. But here, like Spain, Basque, of course French too. This reminds me a bit of I don't know why it reminds me of like a little bit of the Griffin from from Final Fantasy 14 when he says like slop hey. I don't know why. That's yeah, that's just kind of silly. So he's Scottish, Irish, North Dutch, Danish, Orkney, English, North German, with Southwest English. Guess you can see Hellenic, Roman, South Italian. Yeah, and you can see here too how, again, a lot of the original people, a lot of the original Minoans and Mycenaeans, or even people related to them, were really, pretty fair-skinned people. Were pretty like I think sometimes people think that like, the Greeks and Italians are, I don't know why, or even sometimes Spanish, like they're not quote unquote what they think is I don't know, like a person that's well, at least they don't, yeah, like it's kind of strange. It's like I don't know what it is, but yeah. Okay. Because the Greeks and Romans too were like just like it's kind of like the ancients of 14. It's like that they were some of the original people who also found like a lot of the civilizations in Europe, or some of the some of the original civilizations. But and that's how Europe got its name. But anyways, yeah, a lot of interesting stuff. Yeah. Um, I was kind of wondering because I think also the other thing too is like I've never been into like the whole fake orange tan thing. I know some people like it, but I've just never been into it. I don't think my mom's ever used it, and I don't think my dad has either. I think my dad's partner does though. But I think some of the original West Hunter gatherers, I know a lot of people think of Cheddar Man, when they think of one of the original people in Britain, but I think some of them may have had more of also like an orangish skin tone. So I don't know if like that's why like some people like in Britain, Ireland, even Scandinavia, I don't know like if they do that to kind of mimic how some of the ancestors might have looked like thousands of years ago, or if they just think it looks good. I don't know. I've just never really been into that myself. I just embrace my natural skin tone. I've also haven't been big into like in Japan. Sometimes they'll use like skin brightener or whitener to like brighten or whiten their skin, I think it's more so like in Korea too, but more so than Japan. What I do, but one thing I do like in Japan like is the geisha, like the white powdered makeup that some of the geisha use as well. Like it kind of reminds me of like some powder or makeup that goths use. But I think that's like a little bit different though, because it's like you just put it on and then eventually you can wash it off. But yeah, I've just been more into embracing my natural skin tone, I guess. Here you can see it was related to like Scottish, uh, Viking, yeah, Viking, Norwegian, Icelandic, some Norse in there. Okay, let's see here. I think a lot of this Anatolian and then Imperial Rome, I think I mainly got it from my mom's side because even though it's not like a huge amount, like it's still at least something, I think is worth mentioning. It's kind of like in 14, like when the ancients or like Hades say, remember us, and then eventually he's like, yeah, like you are worth carrying on the legacy into something new. And yeah, because even though like not all of this is like the original ancestry, like it is at least part of it. I try to go back to not only like the Imperial and Anatolian period. I try to go back all the way to like the Age of Heroes. So like it'd be like the 1500 before Common Era. But yeah, uh, so because again over time it's like there's a lot more of a sometimes a Near Eastern mix at times. Yeah. But yeah, so there's this one as well, Somerset's. But it also makes me think of Yu-Gi-Oh as well, like when Yusei and Yugi and Jaden team up to fight Paradox. Like it makes me think of like the Kenans and some of the Phoenicians and ancient Egyptians. It kind of makes me think of that. So that's also pretty cool as well. I don't know, maybe Paradox is like he thinks he's like like a chosen Sumerian or something. Or like with Xehanort, he's like, this is the only way we can save the world, and then Ericus comes in and helps him find another way, and also Terra and Aqua and Ben and everyone else. So it's always pretty cool. But yeah, so yes, this sample is related to Irish, English, Scottish. Oh yeah, so this was what I was talking about, some of the original Age of Heroes, some of the original. I don't know what I want to say, like original agents. But you can see here, really in Etruscan, Macedonian, Akkadian, Spanish, North Italian, Portuguese, yeah. See here, Derbyshire, Irish, Scottish, Belbeaker. This reminds me a bit of my friend Lena, actually. I don't know why. I just feel like when I look at her, it reminds me of Lena. Welsh, South English, French, South Dutch, Flemish, Romani, Aussie, Quadi. Reminds me of her. Celtic Breton. Oh, here, so yeah, Sequani. Yeah. Gallo-Celtic. Yeah, that made me happy. See it there. You can see how it brings Spanish, Portuguese, of course French, and English, and Irish, and Scottish and Welsh all closer together, yeah. Yeah, as you can see here, Denmark, Bronze Age, Nordic Bronze Age. Closely related to the Bellbeaker, Irish, Scottish, Unitus, yeah. Yeah, so that's what it is. It's there were the Bellbeaker and then the Celts eventually came. But it was a lot later than some people thought it was. That's why, that's why Celtic Healer's here to help kind of bridge that gap between uh, book groups. You can see here in Neolithic Sweden, this is almost like 8,000 years ago. Estonian, Finnish. Time. He had a massive beard though, really, fairly long hair as well. Um, Spanish, Portuguese. When I see this image, it's like a force of nature. Like it's really cool. Like the Senpi Senpai to Japan as well. Of course, also to other Northeast Asian nomadic tribes. But yeah, it's like a force of nature. Renton. Yeah, you can see. I don't know why he reminds me a bit of. I think I Love Frenchies a tiny bit. Um, he's kind of funny. Yeah, it's here in Anatolia. Bronze Age. Ugh. Sorry about that. West Norwegian Vandal. Again, you'll see. I guess that's where some of the Vandals originally came from. Angles, Chelsea, Longbard. This reminds me of Dolly, my friend Dolly. A wee bit. South Dutch, French, Flemish, Austrian, North German, uh, West German, East German, South. I do a lot of Dolly. Bronze Age, Kent, Irish, Scottish, English. Spanish pronounced. This reminds me a bit of Kaz Kobayashi. Kobayashi's a Japanese YouTuber. This might also be connected not only to Jomon, but also Yayoi Ancestry as well. Yeah, it reminds me of it. This reminds me of Antinomi. Yes. She probably has some Celtic ancestry in her as well. But yeah, this was connected to Galicia, Portuguese, French, Castilian, North Italian, Gallo-Celtic Adui. Yeah, it reminds me a lot of her. Especially the eyes. It's the eyes. Or at least a wee bit. This is cool as well. Irish, Scottish. Trying to finish this before I fall asleep. Kinda tired. Yeah, so here's Celtic Britain. I'm related to a lot of Celts, especially like in Britain and Ireland with red hair. That's why I have like deep red hair sometimes growing from my beard. It's not like a ton, or at least not yet, but yeah. Just Anatolian groups. This reminds me of RPG. He also plays RuneScape like I do, but he lives in New Zealand. I think he's ethnically Norwegian, but he got adopted by an Irish family. It's his red hair. Yeah, so you can see here Danish, North German, West Scottish, Irish, North Dutch. Because of it's the Bellbeaker ancestry. That's what it is. Goes back to the Bellbeaker. Some people might say the Yamnaya, but I like to say the Bellbeaker. But they might want to say Corduroy, but I still like Bellbeaker. I don't know why she reminds me a little bit of Hades, like a female version of Hades from 14. Just a little bit, just a little bit. Or even just like a little bit of Lena too. Yeah, Greek Cretan, or no, Greece from Crete. Yeah. Yeah, here's Proto-Aurelian. Still a warrior. Warrior, yeah. Straight up. Here, this is like, I think, related, connected like Sardine. Other, Spanish as well. Let's see. Related to people. For Sardinia. This reminds me of the broccoli haircut. Yeah, I don't know why that became such a big thing. Irish, Scottish, I don't know why. No, that's terrible. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but Irish, Scottish. Yeah, so this is like what I'm talking about. Like my hair sometimes like is like that form of red. It's like a deep, deep red. It's not like just orange. It's like deep like the Hershey has. Yeah, Celtic Breton, Oxfordshire, Southeast English, Irish, Scottish, see a bit of Belgic. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Basque, Spanish Basques, Spanish, French, Southwest French. This reminds me a little bit of I love Frenchies a little bit too. Yeah, he's related to Spanish. He's got one more button match. Yeah, I just wanted to show this to you guys because I thought this was really cool, especially the deluge of different of deluge of samples I got from with Celtic tribes from Britain and Ireland especially, and a bit more like Scandinavian, of course, like Greece and Rome and Anatolia a little bit more. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found that interesting. And I think I'm gonna end the stream here. Hope you guys take care. Bye for now. Oh yeah, and then there's like this one extra sample. Blue Saxon, Temperature, West Scottish Irish, yeah. So I just wanna share that real quick. Okay guys, bye for now.